Top Gun Maverick has been one of the most anticipated 4K Blu-ray releases of the year, if not the most anticipated 4K release, and that's because anyone that was fortunate enough to see it in the cinema, be it a standard cinema or an IMAX screen, would know that this would transfer over so well to the format. It's such a visually striking movie and the soundtrack is awesome also. I managed to pick up this Steelbook edition from HMV when it was released last Monday, and let me tell you, this film does not disappoint on 4K. Thanks for hitting up the channel, folk, and for sticking with us. I'm Andy, the Electric Geek, and today obviously we're going to be having a little bit of a look at Maverick on 4K Blu-ray. I'll talk about the video and the audio quality, and I'll also talk about the special features, and then ultimately I'll give you my recommendation as to whether or not I think you should pick this up for $24.99 if you're buying the standard one, or closer to that £40 if you're going for the Steelbook. If you're interested in having a closer look at this HMV Steelbook of Top Gun Maverick, then of course I'll leave a link in the description for it, or you can hit the little link at the top of the picture there. That will take you through to the video and you can have a closer look at it. So briefly on the movie itself, it was a movie that we thought we were never getting. It seemed to be delayed countless amount of times. I've lost track at how many release dates it had and how many times it was pushed back. I absolutely loved it. I seen it in IMAX and it absolutely blew me away. I thought it was going to be good. I think Joseph Kosinski was a great choice to direct. Obviously Tom Cruise is such a slick producer now and he puts everything into it. Once I found out that we're actually going to be filming in the cockpits themselves, I thought this is really going to take it to the next level. It's going to blow the first one away. And I really love Kosinski's earlier work, Oblivion, when he collaborated with Tom Cruise, and Only the Brave, which is a really good movie as well, in which Miles Teller had worked with him. All Joseph Kosinski's movies, certainly the ones that I've seen, Tron Legacy, Oblivion, Only the Brave, they're all so visually striking. He's one of the best filmmakers working today when it comes to the production value of his movies, and if you haven't seen those ones, I definitely suggest checking them out. I thought the movie was an easy 5 out of 5 when I watched it in the cinemas on its original release in IMAX, and I just watched it the other night again for this review, and I still think it's a 5 out of 5. I'd give it a 6 out of 5 if I could. I think it's that good. I think it's such a difficult job to follow up, especially on a film that's pretty much got its own cult status, Top Gun. I mean, it's a household term, it's so quoted, it kind of defines the 80s in many ways, certainly when it comes to movies, so it was no easy task following that up. And I think they totally delivered here. I think everyone involved, I think the cast are great, I think the story elements are fantastic, if not a little bit predictable. I kind of knew exactly where it was going to go with regards Goose's son and all that, but you're really hanging on the edge of your seat, and I did not know how it was going to pan out. I didn't know if everyone was going to survive or if people were going to die. I wasn't sure. I won't say any more than that in case I spoil it for anyone. But yeah, even watching it the second time, I was still on the edge of my seat. It gets a little bit cheesy towards the end, and yeah, it's very Hollywood at the end. But I don't think that detracts from it. I think it's a fantastic blockbuster of a movie, and it's got such great rewatch appeal, and it will definitely be getting spun a few times in my player, that's for sure. But you've came here to hear about the video and audio quality, so let's just get straight into that. The film comes in native 4K. It was shot digitally. It has an aspect ratio of 190:1, so that's for your specially formatted IMAX sequences, and does have the switch in aspect ratios. So for most of the dogfight scenes, you'll get the kind of full frame IMAX ratios, and then you'll get 239:1 for everything else. HDR grading comes in the form of Dolby Vision, and of course standard HDR10 for anyone who doesn't have a Dolby Vision setup. When it comes to your audio, you get Dolby Atmos, and I should point out at this time that you also get Dolby Atmos on the standard Blu-ray release. So if your budget doesn't stretch to 4K, or your setup's not capable of 4K yet, then you'll not be missing out on the audio front at least. It has a 130-minute runtime, and with regards to the disc itself, it's a dual-layered 50GB disc. It's not your triple-layered 100GB one. So when it comes to the video, I'm just going to keep this short. Absolutely jaw-dropping. It's absolutely fantastic, this release. It was shot digitally using Sony Venice cameras. Now these are cameras that have been rated for IMAX formatting, so not actual IMAX cameras, 70mm filming onto film of course. These are digital cameras, but I believe it was shot in resolutions up to 6K, and then obviously the film has a DI of 4K, a digital intermediate of 4K. So it's actually been downscaled for the Blu-ray release, the 4K Blu-ray release, which I always think is a good sign, because if the source is higher than 4K, then you know you're in for a treat on the 4K Blu-ray. But all that tech spec aside, ultimately what this results in is fantastic picture quality. Now, yes, the IMAX stuff is even better looking when you get the full frame ratios, but the whole film looks beautiful, and I didn't actually find the switching aspect ratios too jarring. I know some people do, but I think I was just so sucked in by the movie that I didn't really notice it as much. not as much as I notice on other films. Although it's shot digitally, it still looks very filmic, so I don't know if I've added a little bit of artificial grain. Very, very fine, so if you're a grain hater, don't worry about it. It looks very, very clean, but it just doesn't have that plasticky look of the MCU, you know, that almost too perfect look. It still looks very filmic, but that's maybe down to the cinematographer, and that's kind of what I like personally, so I thought the presentation was fantastic. When it comes to HDR, I watched this in Dolby Vision, and I used Dolby Vision Dark because it's more accurate and I'm in a light controlled room. I thought the Dolby Vision just had the edge over the Blu-ray when it comes to especially the dogfight scenes, because a lot of them seem to happen with low suns, be it early morning or at night time, and those vistas are just so much better realised. A lot of the time the sun passes over the cockpit and it's really searingly bright and just makes it look even more realistic. Much like I mentioned in my first review of Top Gun, which is a really old one, but you can check out if you want, there'll be a link there. I mentioned how HDR lends itself to the uniforms. Some of the sequences where, you know, they've got all the ribbons on and the different patches, and certainly their headgear, their helmets, just looks that bit more vibrant and punchy, and the uniforms just look fantastic throughout the movie. All the glint and the glare and stuff in the cockpit, the metallic things that are shining within the cockpit are better realised with the use of HDR highlights over the standard SDR Blu-ray, and that's the kind of difference you're getting there. But the overall tones, the colour vibrancy is just better, of course, on the 4K Blu-ray. But I will say that the Blu-ray itself looks fantastic, and that's the case with modern movies. Again, you've got to remember, they're still using that 6K source format, and then it's been downscaled to 1080p, so there's so much source material to work with that the Blu-ray is going to look fantastic, especially if you're watching it on a 4K setup and it's getting upscaled anyway, so it's getting closer to that 6K resolution. But yeah, visually this is absolutely fantastic. It's an easy 5 out of 5, and yeah, let's not say any more about it, just go out and watch it, it looks fantastic. Moving on to the audio, and it's pretty much the same here. So as I say, it's Dolby Atmos. I don't have the most capable Dolby Atmos setup, it's a 5.1.2, and I use up-firing height speakers to the front. So I do get height effects, but I don't think my setup, to be honest, could do this movie justice. I think this will sound absolutely fantastic if you've got a more expensive setup, or you have more height channels, especially maybe some side channels as well. But even in my limited setup, it sounded amazing. The dogfight sequences, much like the first Top Gun with its reworked Dolby Atmos, it's just amazing. You really feel like you're in the cockpit. Be it the missiles, or be it the chaff flares going off to help the fighter pilots evade the incoming missiles. Whenever they hit the afterburners, there's plenty of low frequency stuff. Your subwoofer will get a workout, and of course there's plenty of explosions as well. So yeah, the Dolby Atmos is fantastic. I really like the soundtrack to Top Gun Maverick. It's not quite as iconic as the original, but there's some cracking tunes in there from Lady Gaga, One Republic, and there's even a Who song in there which plays over the first gunfight, which is really thematically good and just sounds great coming out your home theatre system. So yeah, the Dolby Atmos track is fantastic, much like the video. It's an absolute demo, so it's an easy 5 out of 5. I'll just quickly speak about the special features before I give you my overall verdict, which I'm quite sure you know what way that's going. But yeah, when it comes to special features, there is a sticker on the front of the steelbook which said there was over 80 minutes, and they're not lying there. I did have a bit of a conversation in the comments in my previous video where one of my subscribers has actually pointed out to me that there's only just shy of 40 on the Blu-ray. So I went in and I double checked the 4K Blu-ray, and the reason it's 80 is because on the 4K Blu-ray there is one extra special feature, and that is Masterclass with Tom Cruise. Now this is like an hour-long interview that was filmed at the Cannes Film Festival over in France at the time that the film released. So it's not old stuff, it is a new interview, and I've watched the first 10 minutes of it and it's pretty good. It's obviously going to be a deep dive. I think it's pretty much into his entire career as opposed to just Top Gun Maverick, but I'm sure that'll be covered as well. But if you're into Tom Cruise, then it's definitely worth having. So the 4K is the definitive way to own Top Gun Maverick if you want all the material that was released with it as well. So all that said, can I recommend Top Gun Maverick on 4K Blu-ray? If you haven't guessed it already, of course I can. It's absolutely fantastic. This is one of the best 4K Blu-rays I own. Visually it looks absolutely stunning, it sounds fantastic. It blows the original out of the water, although that's a really good 4K Blu-ray as well. Quite grain heavy, not as kind of visually stunning and crisp as this one. But yeah, what a counterpart, what a double act actually if you can have them both. I know there's a cracking collector's edition steelbook coming out in December which does like bespoke artwork for the two of them and loads of little kind of collector's trinkets as well, so that maybe keep an eye out on if you haven't bought either of them yet. It was just a bit too pricey for me, I think it's about 100 quid, but I'm happy with this one. Go out and buy yourself Top Gun Maverick on 4K Blu-ray. You have to have it if you're into 4K, it's absolutely fantastic. If you haven't seen it, you're in for a treat. So that's everything I've got for you with regards to Top Gun Maverick on 4K Blu-ray. It's just absolutely tremendous, total demo disc. If you want to see the unboxing, remember the link's in the description for the unboxing video that I did. And my next 4K Blu-ray review / unboxing is going to be that of 1987's Highlander, the Scottish classic, sci-fi classic starring Christopher Lambert and my late great countryman Sean Connery. So that's the next time I'm going to be doing. I'll be doing an unbox and I'll be doing a review as well. So if you're not subscribed, now's the time to do so you don't miss that review when it drops. But I've been Andy, Electric Geek. Thanks very much for hitting us up today. If you can't wait for the next review, then of course I do have other content, plenty of other 4K reviews and 4K unboxings that should be kind of on the screen just now. So why not get stuck in? But until next time, take care and get yourself Top Gun Maverick on 4K Blu-ray.